Hi, I'm Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings.
My name is Ben Dickerson. I'm your co-host, and I am ready for week 4.
Week 4 in the NFL 2019 season is the last game of what we call the second preseason.
Correct.
That first quarter of the season where the starters actually get to play together. Because they didn't play together during the preseason. A lot of them didn't play at all. But then they started to play together in game 1 and started to see some teams seem to be better prepared to come right out. Initially, we're speaking of, for example, the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
They look like, this was
well prepared and ready to go.
Ready to kick off the regular season. Other teams kind of didn't look, Browns, for example, like they were quite, on point, ready to operate at highest efficiency levels. But now they've had 3 games under their belt. They've had a chance to play together. They've had some injuries. Some things maybe have changed. Things are still moving around. People are still doing trades and things of that nature. But we're gearing up for the 4th game of the season, and it's getting serious now. So we're going to kick this off. And again, when we do the matchup show, it features the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Report, the Bias Plus Report, rather. Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, where we look at net points, the difference between points scored and points given up, points for, points against. We look at turnover differential, that big difference, and you can usually see where those teams that are strongest there generally have better win potentials. So we're looking at all of that, and then as I tell people, I believe that that's a great baseline. You start there, and then you add in the additional information. And then you get into opinion and conjecture. But there's no opinion and there's no conjecture in the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. It is a lagging indicator. It's telling you what they've actually done. These are the facts, just the facts, okay? So let's kick this off. We have the Thursday night game. Now, Mr. Dickerson, we both live here in Philadelphia. And so this is the city of brotherly love. This is one of the first cities. So before we go headstrong into that game, I want to take us a moment to recognize that the Sterling Net Point Power Ranking says, please vote.
Absolutely.
As if your life depends on it.
Because it does.
Because it does, okay? It was National Voters Registration Day. And so if you have pages up, social media pages, they ask you to put that information out. And I did that. So I've done my duty. Now let's get to the Bias Plus Report. All right. Now, Philadelphia Eagles have to go into Green Bay. The Bias Plus score is 33. It favors the Packers. The net point bias is 25 points. That favored the Packers. The Packers also were favored in the turnover differential bias of 8, which gave them the 33-point score. We were 10 of 16 last week. You were 11 of 16 last week. Let's see how you make out this week. You going with the bias?
I am definitely going with the bias on this game. Everything is in Green Bay's favor from home team on down. The 25-point bias is not huge, but it's decent. The turnover differential bias, however, is 8. I think that's a strong 8. The Patriots defense is ranked overall. The Packers, they both start with a P. Packers defense is second in points against, which does not bode well for a banged up Eagles offense. So yes,
they've got people coming back.
Yeah, they got a person coming back.
Corey Clemens coming back.
I don't think Corey's going to have enough impact to change this game, nor do I think Alshon Jeffrey will either without Deshaun.
They had hopes that they might get LeSean. He went to Kansas City, and I think he's a little banged up right now, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, so that takes care of Thursday night. So that's a short week for them also to have to travel to go into Green Bay. And Aaron saying, yeah, we're winning. We're 3-0. Our defense is really keeping us in games. We just got to get our offense in gear. Hey, the Eagles are coming.
Well,
it could be a great time.
Excuse me. The good thing I like about what Aaron's been saying, though, is not only does he continue to praise the defense, as he should, because nobody was really looking at them at the beginning of the season, but he's also saying that offensively, we have to start doing our share carrying the load. And he's saying that in public so that the other offensive players know that, they can all be better. That's a good thing. I like that.
Yeah, that is a good thing. That is a good thing. All right, where are we here? Here we go. All right, next up, we have the Bias Plus report. Tennessee Titans at Atlanta Falcons. Bias Plus score of 38, if I'm saying that correctly, favors the Titans. So the Titans are being favored. However, personally, I'm starting to lose a little belief in the Titans here.
What?
Tennessee.
Are you doubting the net point power rankings?
Hey, look.
They are what they are.
They are what they are. Okay. They are what they are. Just like we talked about the skew factor for anyone who's playing Miami.
True.
But here, Atlanta hasn't looked great. It hasn't looked really good. I mean, Atlanta's, struggling a bit. So, this will be a game for them to get their act together. Mariota was the leading passer in their loss, right?
Yeah, but believe me, he didn't look good much at all. I only saw really the fourth quarter. That was last week's Thursday night game. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty.
How's the running game looking?
Not as good as it needs to look, considering the way that they ended the last year with Derrick Henry really face masking, stiff arming people to death, and having those long runs. That seems to have dematerialized, as they might say. I don't know exactly if Tennessee knows what direction they're going in offensively right now. I really don't.
That's having an identity right there.
Yeah. If anything, the defense is going to carry them, but even they have started to show that they're good, but they're not good enough to cover up all the weaknesses of the offense. It's not this might be one I got to go against the net point power rankings on. 38's a good number as a bias plus, but Atlanta's home, and I think they got enough firepower to give the strength of the Titans team, which is their defense, trouble. The question is, can their helter-skelter defense, Atlanta I'm speaking of, stop Mariota? I say Mariota shoots himself in the foot, him and the offense, and I'm going to go against the power rankings, and I'm going to take Atlanta.
All right.
That'll be a big win if I get it.
Buffalo. Buffalo is going to host the New England Patriots.
I've been waiting for this game.
Number one team in the net point rankings. The New England Patriots look like an absolute machine this year. They're one in net points at plus 89. They're second in points scored at 106. They're first in points against at 117. Buffalo, however, tends to be in the bottom of the first third, at least in net points. They're ninth. However, points for, they're 17th.
Mm-hmm.
And, points against, what are they?
Fifth.
So that's their defense. You like their defense. Looks like an intriguing game.
Could be an intriguing game. Could be quite a battle, in fact.
It's a division match, right?
Yes, it
Which
is.
always has a little bit of weirdness about it.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
I got to go with the Patriots, which is no surprise to anybody, of course, but I expect this to be a much better game than people may suspect. I think Buffalo will give them enough on offense to keep them on their toes. and their defense should keep Mr. Brady guessing. I'm looking for a low-scoring game.
Who you taking? That's the question. Low-scoring game.
I'm going to take New England.
Going with the bias.
I'm going with the bias.
It's not get crazy around here. He's doing all of this, turn into a professor all the time. Oh, let me conjecture this for a second. You know?
Didn't have much conjecture to go on.
Here we go. Conjecture this. Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Detroit. The Chiefs have a bias score of 33 in their favor. The Chiefs, you know, I mean, they got Patrick Mahomes.
33 is not big.
33 is not big, but the Chiefs, again, when you're looking at net points, you know, they're fifth, right? Detroit's 13th. I'm talking rankings. You know, Chiefs are plus 37. Detroit's plus 6. Detroit just had a big win against the Eagles, you know, but had the Eagles receivers wore Stickum, they might have, you know, won that game. Bring back Stickum. They need Stickum in Philadelphia. But Kansas City has the bias plus in this particular point. What do you got?
I'm going to go with Kansas City, although, again, I think this is going to be a game that's going to be worth watching. I think Detroit has enough on offense to keep Kansas City's defense kind of on the ropes. Maybe hold on to the ball a little bit. Sometimes your best defense is your offense when you need to keep a guy like Mahomes off the field. So, but I got to go with Kansas City.
All right, we're going with the bias in this particular situation. All right, next up, Colts, Raiders. Oakland Raiders are doing the traveling. However, the bias scores 32 favoring the Colts here. Now you got a situation. Both teams have negative net points. Indianapolis is only -1. However, Raiders are -30. And you know, so you know both teams. But we did talk about Jacoby Brissett playing better. Derek Carr and the guys aren't playing bad. They're going to have to get that running game going though. They're going to do it, especially on the road. If you're going to go on the road, you can't run the ball, man. You know, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, I just. You know, Colts are sitting at number 15 overall in the net point power rankings. They're on the minus side, but it's only a -1. This is a team I think that's on the cusp of getting into that positive area. And I can see a couple of teams above them that could possibly be dropping, but we won't speak of them right now because we're talking about good things happening for the Colts. And one of those good things is Jacoby Brissett. Another one of those good things will be if T.Y. Hilton is healthy and can play. I think he's got a little knee or something. But one of the really big bright spots for them, consistent defense, not great, consistent. One of the really big bright spots for them has been the running back Marlon Mack. This guy is definitely a game changer. He gives them a legitimate running game, which they obviously needed. Whether Brissett or Andrew Luck or anybody else is back there, without that consistent, legitimate running game, you're always going to have trouble. And they've got Marlon Mack, so they're in a good place right now. So I'm going to go with Indy at home. I'm starting to feel bad for the Raiders because you know they're on the road more than anybody. It's
they do. They have
kind of not fair.
Kind of a crazy road schedule.
Yeah,
like, they don't go home for like 10 games or something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of not fair. But hey,
is that across country? You consider that cross country?
Nah. Indianapolis is kind of mid.
Yeah, that's still mid. That's mid country. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Keep thinking Baltimore Colts.
Oh,
age showing.
You're telling your age, right?
Age showing here. That's all that is. All right. Speaking of age showing, I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Since you got an old West Coast to East Coast.
Yeah.
What time's that game? Do we have a game time there?
I do.
Oh, it's 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Oh.
West Coast to East Coast, Chargers visiting Miami.
Coming off a loss.
Both teams.
We know Dolphins are coming off a loss.
However, maybe the Chargers can get the skew going, the Dolphin skew going in their direction. Because the bias plus score favors the Chargers. It's 117.
Highest for the week.
Highest for the week.
By far. In
far.
fact, there's only one other one that's even remotely close. So I don't know if that's good for the Chargers or bad for the Dolphins. Whatever. Doesn't really matter. I've been trying to find a game, but this ain't it. I don't think this is it either. And I don't think we're going to get one much closer to this unless perhaps
we got a couple really close games. We got a couple of bias plus scores of 0.
Yeah.
To come up. So
all right. Well, I'm gonna waste time with this 117.1. We'll go with the Chargers and we'll leave it like that.
Don't come in and get this game done. And to be quite honest, again, both teams net point wise are in the negative. Now, of course, Miami is last.
Yes, they are far in the negative and will not see the light of day. That was my point.
The Chargers are right. They're 19th, ranked 19th with -4 net points. But whatever's going on in Miami, the Chargers, they better come in here and get that thing done, man. That's a bit crazy. Let's move. Wait a minute. Is that the NFC least?
It's not the NFC least anymore. How are you calling it that? The teams are actually two of the teams are actually good.
What two?
The Eagles and the Cowboys.
Okay, you throwing the Eagles in there? I just want to make sure. I'm just checking.
No, they're actually good teams that are expected to make the playoffs. I don't see you trying to make me seem like I hate the Eagles. I don't.
I know.
When they were the NFC least, the team that won the division won with like 7 wins. That was the NFC least.
Well, look. Bias plus score favors the Washington Redskins, man. What you gonna do?
The Washington, they should change their name.
Did I say that again?
Yes, you did.
Man, Washington, they should change their name.
But
yes, I'll get used to that.
I could care less what the bias says on this one. Here's the funny thing.
I could care less, he says.
Net points wise, they're tied.
Yes, they sure are.
So the bias for net points is 0.
Yeah.
Turnover differential looks like Washington's got 2 on them. And
your defense, people are starting to talk
nice about
You talked so bad about them last week. We're just not good. That's what you said. Just not good.
You watched Jackrabbit lately? Guys getting turned around in circles, man. Janoris Jackrabbit Jenkins. I love you, brother. I do. Because you're a New York Giant. But my goodness. Needless to say, I'm going against the bias and I'm going to take the Giants. They are the team on the upswing. The Redskins are the team on the downswing. It's as simple as that.
He's going with the swing. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that. All right, let's see what we got here.
Oh, I love this game.
Now, this game.
I got to watch this game.
This game, again, division, right?
Yep.
Division rivals. We talked about Browns. The question, Ravens. I questioned the coaching last week for the Ravens. Everybody's questioning the coaching
of the Browns
last week for the Browns. I can say that. However, long story short, as far as the Bias Plus report is concerned, Bias Plus score of 71 favors the Ravens, even with the Miami Dolphins skew. What do you think?
This is the second highest. I don't know if that's good or bad. I guess that's good. That means we should have a lot of really good games to watch. This one will be fun for me to watch because I like the Ravens and I want to see how well they bounce back from the Kansas City game. I believe they will pummel the Browns. I believe they will pummel.
Will we see that run game that I was talking about, that power run
You
game?
did see the power run
Ingram?
game. He had 103 and 3 touchdowns.
He could have had 150. He should have. You got to keep Mahomes on the
I can't with
best
you, man.
Defense against Kansas City is a good offense. Just like with the way the Patriots kept Mahomes on the bench, that's the only place where you can feel comfortable that guy is not going to do your defense no harm is if he's over on the sideline. Because if you let him on the field, you don't know what's going to happen when you get the Mahomes man working on that. So, you better keep him on the sideline. But in this particular case, they don't have to worry about Mahomes. They got Baker, and Baker ain't Mahomes. That's for sure.
They will pummel them.
They will pummel them. It has been said. They will pummel them. They will be pummeled. All right, now here we got a situation again where you got that second string quarterback coming in. Panthers at Texans coming in, and this is
Titans helmet. That's a Titans helmet.
It sure is. Okay, well, we'll screw that part. Just nix that for right now.
Oh, I thought you had it. Okay, that's cool.
It's the Texans.
This is a big game. This is going to be. Ooh, look at these numbers. This is going to be a tough one.
Carolina has a net point bias of 3 points. Houston has a turnover differential bias of 3
points,
giving a bias plus score of 0.
Gotta love it.
And how did the guys on the fantasy, when they said, and who does that help?
Nobody. That helps no one.
That helps no one.
Wow. This is a tough one. So what's his name? Kyle Allen? The guy that's backing up Cam? I think that's his name. Pretty good quarterback. Pretty savvy. Nice arm. Has a good grasp of the offense. He's been getting the ball to the playmakers.
Good point guard type guy.
Yep. That makes him scary going up against Deshaun.
They got people talking about not rushing Cam back.
I mean,
take your time, Cam.
From what I've seen, that's not well. Number one thing is he's got this Lens Frank thing going on in his foot. You got a little, you know about that, right?
Right, plantar fasciitis.
Plantar fasciitis.
I don't know.
Either way, you don't want to mess with your feet. Your feet, that's your money, man. If you're a ball player, you know what I mean. And it's a scary injury. It's difficult to rehab, so you definitely don't want to rush him back. Good for them that they're feeling like they don't have to rush him back. And Kyle Allen has been doing his thing, so we got to give him some props. However, he's going up against Deshaun Watson, a guy that I just got finished saying a little while ago is on the verge of greatness. But the only thing that's going to make him great is they have to shore up that offensive line. They have to keep him upright. He cannot keep taking these hits that he's taking and all these sacks. That being said, I'm not sure if Carolina is going to bring the house like they should against him. And if they don't, they're going to be in trouble. I gotta go with Houston on this one. They had a big win last week, and I think they'll do it again. I really do. I think they'll do it again. Last week they beat the Chargers, which has a pretty good defense. I'm gonna go with Deshaun again.
Well, I mean, the net points would be predicting a tie if it was a predicting type thing. That's why we use the word favor.
Yeah, we'll call that one
not really
push.
A prediction. Is that what you?
Yeah, we'll call it a push.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. All righty. So from the push, we're going down, and we're going to see the Rams and the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are doing the traveling, going to L.A. Cross country.
East Coast to West Coast, that's
not quite the same
thing.
Yeah,
not quite the same thing.
Well, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not in favor. Rams have a bias plus in their favor of 37, and the Buccaneers have to get their act in gear.
Yeah, that's fairly healthy bias.
It's okay. It's okay. I think the Rams aren't exactly operating at peak efficiency yet. They're not exactly operating like the Patriots, but they're winning, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, let's see. Where are the Rams at in points against?
Points against the Rams.
Number 7. That's pretty good.
I mean, you can't be mad at them.
No, not at all.
They're ranked 7th. Points for, they're ranked 8th. You know what I mean? It's
Here's the thing. Tampa Bay's running game is a little on the kind of okay side. So that means Jameis is throwing the ball a lot. 30, 35, 40, 45 times a game. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that with Aaron Donald bearing down on him play after play after play. Not to mention, on the other side of the ball, he will be slinging it one way or the other. If they have a double team, Donald tripping, tie him up, and he's going to be going for Mike Evans. Somebody got to cover that boy. He is hot like fire right now.
Yeah, he's a bit beastly.
So this could turn out to be a little bit better game than most people might think on the surface. But I'm going to go with the Rams. They got a little bit too much on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's smart. Bias is the bias here.
Mm-hmm.
And until proven otherwise, Tampa Bay is going to have to just take their lumps.
Yeah.
I think, and, it's just going to
be. I mean, every game's going to be a shootout with them.
But that's what it has been, right?
It's probably going to continue to be that way.
Another division contest. The Seattle Seahawks going to Arizona to meet up with the Cardinals. The bias plus score of 22 favors the Seahawks. And at some particular point, things are going to click for young Kyler Murray and the Seahawks, I kind of think. Now, you know what I will say real quick?
Go ahead.
They're using their running back.
Yes.
They're using their running back.
Yes,
when in doubt, you can get the ball to that guy.
Yes, they do. And David Johnson can be a problem, and that's a good thing. But the pundits, on one hand, are saying, the pundits, the talking heads, people that make more money than us doing this.
Talking. No money.
A lot of them are still praising Kyler and saying that he's coming along nicely and that they think he will be a viable NFL quarterback. What they're questioning is the air raid offense. So I'm starting to hear the first questions about, does this offense fit? Can they make this offense work?
You know where the biggest question is? And I can tell you,
mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, theoretically, it makes sense.
Okay.
The biggest question is the red zone.
Have they not been proficient in the red zone?
No.
Okay.
And again, in an offense predicated on where's the green grass,
right,
there's less and less and less.
So it makes sense that a new offense with a new rookie quarterback that's coming along, that's going to be the last and hardest thing to master, so to speak.
There's a lot of talk about football and boxing kind of having similarities. And in boxing, sometimes you might have to have 2 or 3 different styles that you can go to. You fight this one guy, you might have to work this style.
I heard styles makes fights. I've heard that.
And in football, I believe that you have to have 2 or 3 styles. You got to have a power game.
Mm-hmm.
You got your space game, okay? And, that power game comes into effect in that red zone, in that 10 yards in that. There ain't a bunch of green, Now, Kyler being mobile, okay, and, maybe just he needs to get better command. But let's face it, coach for Arizona, Kingsbury, he didn't have the greatest record in college.
True.
So he had some issues there. And remember, geeky Mr. Me went back and tracked his net points.
Yep.
And we found that fundamentally his defense didn't show up. This defense looked like the defenses from Chip Kelly had.
And remember, it's college, so he heavily recruited offensive players and did not heavily recruit defensive players.
So right now, and they weren't, their defense was questionable anyway. Their line's still a bit questionable.
Yeah.
Fitzgerald is still Fitzgerald, so he's got a few.
Christian Kirk's been playing well.
He's got some nice people to throw to, some weapons per se. But they're gonna have to get that red zone together. They're gonna have to find that game.
He's getting sacked a lot.
Well, again, that line was in question.
Yeah.
But they got to give the ball to the running back. They're gonna have to really, again, how you got to condition the guy on the team on the other side of the line of scrimmage, to make them think something, make them fear something. They got to know, like you were talking about Mike Evans, right? If I know Mike Evans is there, it's gonna move the defense maybe a little that side. And if you know the defense has to maybe do a little something that side, then they're a little weak over here,
right?
So that's the beauty of the spacing and all of that kind of, and having people that can influence. But the game, that run game, you have to have that. And until they get that, they're going to struggle. Long story short, you look at the other three teams in the division. The Rams got a run game.
Yep.
The Niners got a run game.
Yep.
Seahawks have a run game. They might need to get it back in gear a little bit more.
Yeah, he needs to talk to Tiki Barber about high and tight. Fumbles too much.
There you go, high and tight. All right, so that's the Seahawks at Arizona. Are you going with the
I'm going with the Seahawks.
Going with the Seahawks. Okay. All right, there. What do we have next?
Ooh, division.
Another division game?
Yeah, buddy.
Another division game? The Bears?
This is a tough one. This is a tough one.
And look, by a score of 18 favors the Vikings.
Yeah.
Because the Vikings are getting it done. They got the run game.
Yes, they do.
We said you need a run game. They got the run game.
Mm-hmm. This is a toughie. I would say Kirk Cousins is going to have his hands full trying to drop back and pass with Khalil Mack coming at him. But they run the ball so doggone much that they could actually run it enough to go play action when they want to and kind of negate some of that Chicago pass rush. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I see these two teams. Now, if I flip it over, Minnesota's defense is pretty stout. Trubisky still does not look like people were hoping he would look.
He might just be rounding into form at the end
of
what we call this end of the second preseason, going into game 4.
Yeah.
That's going to be the question. Is he going to start to round into – because he played better last year. I thought he played better last year than what he's played so far this year. Whatever.
Yeah.
This
is the problem. The Vikings secondary is pretty doggone good. And if they put Xavier Rhodes on you, you're not going to do nothing. So they put Rhodes on Allen Robinson, who is their best receiver. Don't think Taylor Gabriel is going to run all through the rest of that defense like he did against the team from Washington that needs to change their name. It's not going to happen. He had a big game against them. He won't do that against the Vikings. So I'm going to take the Vikings on those two things alone.
Going with the bias.
Yes. And bias Chicago's at home. But they haven't shown me anything that makes home field advantage work for them. Like Trubisky just I'm going with the Vikings.
All right. Jacksonville at Denver. They're going up to the thin air with the Broncos.
Somewhat intriguing.
And 0-3 Denver Broncos.
Boy, they played every game tough too, if I remember correctly.
Questions about Flacco. Both teams are in the negative in net points. Jacksonville is 16th with -2. Denver is 24th with -21. They're both close relative to points. Jacksonville put up 58, and Broncos, well, kind of close, put up 46. giving up the points. Broncos giving up 67. Jacksonville's giving up 11 so far. So that looks like the big differential here, and it's what's leading this to be a bias plus score in Jacksonville's favor. However, they have drama.
They have more drama?
Well, Jalen.
Well, now, I don't know. Jalen Ramsey last week said he expected to be on a new team within a few days. He has now played a game, and we're into the next week, and I haven't heard anything. So some of these offers.
What you have heard was the Jaguars saying we weren't really interested in him leaving.
Yeah, they never said, "Oh, you want to get traded?" Okay, they never said that.
They seem like they want to keep him,
but they did entertain offers.
Okay, they might have entertained
offers. They entertained offers, and they threw stuff like 2 number ones and what have you out
That's
there.
right, 2 number ones.
Right, but when an NFL team says, "Yeah, we'll give you this star player that we hate to part with if you give us 2 number ones," they know most teams ain't gonna give up 2 number ones, no matter who it is. However, I get a funny feeling that if somebody offers a 1 and a 2, they would go for it. The question is, who is the team? Because again, some of the teams that were named as being teams that were after Jalen Ramsey are pretty good teams, meaning that their first round pick is going to be 20-something.
Low first round.
Exactly. They're thinking to get the max out of a move like this, they'd rather trade him to a team that's not so good so that the pick will be higher in the first round, which makes sense. I mean, let's face it. They're thinking about the team. They're not thinking about Jalen Ramsey. We're not going to send him to a Super Bowl contender or whatever just because. So that could be what's stalling things too. They could
might move things a little bit.
What's that?
All of a sudden, he's not feeling very well.
Which he tried that already.
I think he's still trying it because
he said he has the flu.
Right, but now I hear he's got some soft tissue and some questions about his hamstring.
Yeah, stuff that's real hard to diagnose.
Soft
all the stuff he can think of. Next, he's going to be like, I think I have concussion syndrome. I think didn't I take a hit to the head?
I got a headache.
Anyway,
man.
I seen a little bit too much from Jacksonville's pass rush to trust Mr. Flacco. So we'll just leave it like that and go with Jacksonville.
Yes. Sticking with, is that the bias?
Yeah, that is the bias. Sticking with the bias.
Sticking with the bias.
I think I only went away from it one time.
You go again.
I can't help it. It's the numbers are the numbers.
Numbers are the
numbers. And they make sense and they're working.
This ought to be an interesting game.
Why? Tell me why you think this game's going to be interesting.
Well, first off, let's just look at the numbers. The Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, I see why. I'm sorry.
With a bias plus score of 0, which favors no one.
For a second there, I thought it was the Steelers, but it's not. It's the Steelers.
It's the Steelers.
Right.
That's why I think this might be an interesting game. Again, I thought that their quarterback, what's his name? For the Steelers.
Oh, Mason.
There you go.
Mason Randolph.
Mason Randolph. I thought he did pretty well against my Niners.
Yes.
He actually played pretty decent.
Yes.
He's got another game under his belt now. He's going in. He's not going in against a monster team.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? They're not traveling very far.
No.
So all of that's not much. Matter of fact, but Cincinnati and Pittsburgh,
they're very close.
They're very close. I mean, my family's from
Ohio. Swim across the river.
Last time I went to visit my sister in Steubenville, right? And we took the plane to Pittsburgh, and she picked us up in Pittsburgh at the airport.
There you go.
Like going
across the river.
Like yeah. So it's not that big of a deal.
Across the Monongahela.
So we have a tie at bias plus Again,
Let me see something. I went with the bias here, not there.
let me mention, in both cases, your net points for both teams are in the negative. Pittsburgh is simply, I'm sorry, Cincinnati is simply less negative than Pittsburgh at a negative
Simply
29
less negative
versus Pittsburgh's negative 36. And the skew might go against Pittsburgh because they had to go up against my Niners. That's just like saying that.
Looks like I only went against the bias 2 times.
You can't go with the bias because you know you're not going to call a tie. So,
another push, but yeah. So what? If I pick this one right, I don't get credit. That kind of
your record's your record. Whatever it is. I mean, you know.
I'm going with Cincinnati. I think they're going to go in there.
Cincinnati.
I'm going to take Cincinnati.
Really?
Why?
Why?
Because I'm a daredevil.
Oh,
shucks. They're due, man. They've been getting kicked around. They really – wait. Hold it. I'm sorry.
The empathy vote.
I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
I can't. Yes, I can.
Oh,
yes, I can.
He had doubts. There were doubts.
I'm going to
You can't jump off with a high bridge, high cliff. You can't, those cliff divers, you can't get up there on the cliff, look down.
Right, you're right. So I'm not going to change
100 feet into the ocean and go, I'm not sure I want to do this.
You're absolutely right. I can't change it. So I'm not going to. My only thing was Cincinnati's run defense is really, really poor. And James Conner is still James Conner. However, Joe Mixon is still Joe Mixon. And Detroit's defense, Pittsburgh's defense rather, hasn't been showing me a lot either. So, I mean, this should be a good game for running backs to get off, both of them. And, I mean, I don't think we've done a video so far this season and mentioned the name Andy Dalton. But this is his chance.
You have a seasoned quarterback against a non-unseasoned quarterback.
That's right.
You know?
And a faltering Pittsburgh defense.
You also have a first-year coach against a very established coach.
Yeah, that's true too. But
coaching potential mismatches here.
I mean, I can't change it. I'm sticking with Cincinnati. I feel good about it. I think the Bengals get the win.
All right. Well, again, last week you were 11 for 16. The net point bias plus report was 10 for 16.
Correct.
So we're not doing bad. We're in that 60 to 70% range in both particular situations. That's why you watch Ben and Barry on football, the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, the Bias Plus report, so that you get that baseline information and then take it to the next level so that because you might be on a fantasy team where you're playing this guy and you don't even know it.
Yeah, right. You might.
And he's giving you these little ins and outs, which, you know, he wouldn't do at the beginning of the season. So now he's giving away some of the secrets, top secrets. All right, top secrets, Ben and Barry on football. Let's do a quick rundown, if you don't mind, Mr. Dickerson, of our social media.
Okay.
I'd like to just share our social media with our viewers. So we're going to start out. Again, the basis for all of this information is the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings at Sterling NPPR. You'll know when you're there because that's what you're going to see right there. Next up, you have Ben and Barry on football at BNBOF. This is where we share some very interesting information. Mr. Dickerson, let me ask you a question. You might not have seen this, but I want to bring this up here. I had an aha moment. Now it makes sense.
An aha moment?
Yes. Why is Antonio Brown acting so crazy? He was on the cover of Madden. That's why. And I didn't realize it because what happened last year. Let me see if I can show this real quick.
Did they wait?
If I can show this.
The new Madden that just came out. He's
last
on the cover?
Last year's Madden.
Oh, last year's Madden.
Yeah, last year. Wow. So it's the year after. See, this is the edition that I have. I'm trying to show you.
The light's not.
The
There you
lights,
go.
that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay. As you can see, that's T.O. on the cover.
Yes.
Not A.B.
Well, it says Hall of Fame edition.
That's the reason. So I had forgotten that he was on the cover.
Okay.
It wasn't until I'm actually playing the game and I'm looking at, video, because I recorded my videos of the game. And I went back and I saw Antonio. I'm like, oh, that's right. He was on the cover of the regular game.
Right.
I had the special edition.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
The Madden curse is in effect.
Oh, wow. To the fullest.
This is extreme.
I believe in that, man. I believe in that.
It's really, he's got him like voodoo, man.
I believe in that.
It's got him like voodoo. It's absolutely bananas. But then,
because didn't it let somebody slide? Didn't somebody get away with a decent season?
Yeah, I think it was Mahomes.
There you go. They let Mahomes slide and gave it to him double. Hey!
We are also on Twitter at BNB on football. And again, we're extremely proud. Not just what we point out, but we have, I don't know what happened with that video there. Now, we talked about Kyle Juszczyk. And I
is that the run?
The run.
Let's see. Show that? I hope that shows.
Because this is what happened, just so you know.
I was off a pass.
I submitted it to Good Morning Football as an angry run.
And it won?
No.
Oh, not yet.
It lost to the tight end
from Buffalo. Knox. Yeah.
Knox. Now, let me say this much. Stupid me. I submitted it to Nate Burleson. It's not Nate Burleson's segment. It's Kyle Brandt.
Oh,
it's his segment for the angry runs. And Peter Schrager. Now,
but I'm sure Peter
Schrager let me down because he's like, I'm going with context. So apparently that was, I don't know if that was a scoring drive or they were driving to win the game when
that shouldn't count for a segment like that, man.
Wait, angry you want context? How about 5 turnovers?
Yeah.
Okay. And we needed a spark. And when you need a spark, this is what you want to see. That's what you want to see. There he is in the gynecological position. Get off me.
It doesn't even look real. It looks like Madden.
It looks like Madden.
He shrugged him off with his body, and he flew in the same way as if someone had grabbed him with their hands. You get me? He did that with his body. He threw him off of him with his body. That's amazing. Look, that Knox run was pretty good.
The Knox run was good.
But I like that.
The Knox run was pretty good. All right. Let's
and the other poor guy holding on for dear life.
Look. Juszczyk, baby! Get him. And I've been mispronouncing his name. He pronounces it as Juszczyk.
Check. Okay.
Because this Twitter handle like Juice44 or something like
that.
Yeah,
you're right. You're absolutely right. It is Juszczyk.
And I was pronouncing it as if it was a used check.
Right.
So my apologies, Mr. Juszczyk. Niner fan, baby. Let's get it. Okay. All right. What else do we have here that we want to share besides that? Oh, yes. We don't want to go there yet. I do want to mention that we are also on Instagram. Finally starting to figure out, Instagram is so weird in terms of putting up videos, and it just was not liking our videos at all. But we're doing some things. We're going to try to get our videos up. We have some videos. There's the craziness again. We had a chance to share that. And that's yours truly doing a test video. So yes, we're there. And if you actually go to the URL, www.benandbarryonfootball.com, you'll end up at our YouTube channel where all of our videos are. We invite comments. We invite dissent. Conjecture. We invite conjecture.
We invite all.
All right. Well, we'll even invite some conjecture. Come on over. Let us know what you think. If you don't agree, if you agree, the net points are the net points. But what do you think? What are the X factors that you think might make a difference in either supporting what the net point rankings are saying, the bias plus report is saying, or going against it. You might have some inside
You might think it's a
information.
lot of hooey.
You might. But if you got some inside information, share it with us. Because if you share it with us, we're going to share it with the world. Unless, of course, you're playing Ben in fantasy.
Then you're not going to get much.
You're not going to share anything. So, all right. That ends the matchup show. Any last words, Mr. Dickerson?
Go Knowles.